You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, how y'all doing out there tonight? Boy, do I miss you when we're not talking. And for anybody who tuned in last night and heard I had to abruptly end my show, I apologize. There was something of a crisis going on that, well, unfortunately, yours truly had to be the one to fix it. But we are back tonight. And host Kitty has decided to join me tonight to make sure that I stay put and stay on the air. In fact, he said he has a comment for anybody interrupting me during the show tonight. That's right, they earn a hiss from the host kitty. Except him, of course. He doesn't earn hisses. So, what do we have going on? Well, there's a Tinder-like app running rampant through Iran about politicians. There's stuff about NATO and a whole lot more I don't even have time to list. Now, give me just half a second and we'll get that show prep and get a move on. Because, well, I'm sure we got quackers. And a few other interesting things going on out there tonight. Now, I want to start the show off before we get to the news. I know that that's 90% of why you were here. But I got a couple of announcements. All right. I want you guys, and I know some of you are out there listening, you only have two ways now to interact with me. You can tag me in a tweet while I'm on the air or off, or you can head on over to KLRNRadio.com and there's a player right there. You can listen live and chat with me while we're live on the air. Now, seems Rick Robinson is suffering from a power outage at the moment and isn't sure if he's going to be able to come on the air later tonight. We are waiting to see what happens. So, this could be an interesting evening, folks. It could be an interesting evening. So, like I said, if I know anything before I get off the air, I will update you. I have reached out to Jen to see if she wants yours truly to co-host with her. Because, well, quite frankly, I'd rather see us do a show with yours truly than have nothing new at all. Because there's so much going on. I'm sure we can find something to talk about. So, now, I want to remind everybody of something, and I feel this is something that's kind of been lost over the time. And these words are from a friend of the station. His real name was Sergeant Terry O'Hara. On social media, he went by Scott Harvath. For those of you that don't know anything about him, he was an NYPD sergeant and a 9/11 first responder. He passed away recently from esophageal cancer. He contracted from working at Ground Zero. And I think these words are just so critical, I've got to play them for you. Because I know a couple people out there listening may need to hear them.
For anyone going through any type of personal battle, whether it's cancer, PTSD, depression, a personal challenge that they want to do. They want to go climb Mount Everest. You need to stay in the fight. And when I say that, I mean mentally. If you're not mentally in the fight, if you don't stay in the fight, you can't win.
All right, so for all those of you out there with a personal challenge, for me, that seems to be getting my show on the air every night. And yes, it is something of a personal challenge, because, well, kids, you know, well, maybe you don't, yours truly is kind of a busy lady. So, and there's some whole new stuff coming with the station, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. But I promise, when it's done, it's going to be exciting, kids. And I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to be able to let the cat out of the bag, right, Host Kitty? He says he wants to let the cat out of the bag, too. So, what can I say? All right. Well, it seems we are not done with Syria. U.S. airstrikes target Syrian regime vehicles near the Al-Tanaf base. The U.S. Air Force targeted a convoy of vehicles belonging to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad after they came within 18 miles of a secure U.S. base at Al-Tanaf Training Center for Syrian rebels. The attack is the first since a series of bombings in April undertaken by the United States, specifically targeting Assad's forces for their use of chemical weapons against civilians. All right, so I did just get an update. There will be either a Jen and Rick or a Jen and Jess show tonight. So that means, folks, that I will have to end a few minutes early because, well, Jen and I haven't talked, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I mean, I do know what's been going on, but boy, do I not have a clue on all of it. So, I mean, there's just so much going on, I can't keep up with it at all. I will say I was grateful to find out I will not be ending today on taps. You know I check that every day. Absolutely every day. And yes, I check whether I'm on air or not. So, alright, so let's get to the sound you all I know are waiting for. The show prep. Yes, got my show prep. Now, we all know that certain countries just don't play nice, do they? Well, just in case you haven't kept up, yeah. Erdogan's visit here in the U.S. wasn't exactly without controversy. And Rouhani's leading in the polls in Tehran. Airstrikes are helping the battle for Mosul, which, of course, That's a great thing. Dash, of course, is on a killing streak. And I haven't checked up on Quackers. You don't know who Quackers is? You don't listen very often, do you? Well, Quackers is Kim Jong-un in North Korea. We'll get to him. I don't think it's a show without him. At least not one of my shows. I mean, we got a second aircraft carrier headed near there. So I'd say that would qualify this as a hotspot, folks. The U.S. Navy is moving the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier to the Korean Peninsula, where it will conduct dual carrier training exercises with the USS Carl Vinson. Of course, amid heightened tensions in the regions. The move comes, of course, days after North Korea demonstrated a significant leap forward in their missile program after launching a projectile that achieved successful controlled re-entry into the Earth's lower atmosphere rather than falling back to the surface. So that's a spooky thing. They finally got something to work right. I don't know if I want them to have anything working right, but guess what? Who knows? Now, of course, Trump said in April he would unilaterally act against Pyongyang if necessary. However, as we know, South Korea's election of President Moon, well, let's just say President Moon is not what I would call a hawk, kids. I would call him a dove. Most decidedly, he is a dove. Now, let's talk Mosul for a minute. Half a dozen units of Daesh fighters holed up in western Mosul began their morning radio checks just after 4 a.m. It was still dark, and Iraqi forces deployed a few blocks away were listening as they prepared in advance on the Al-Rafai neighborhood. About 40 minutes later, the first U.S. coalition airstrikes hit as Iraqi forces pushed across the main road and began clearing the neighborhood's narrow streets. Remember, there are sections of Mosul, particularly western Mosul, that cannot support an armored vehicle unless you want to up armor a cattle cart. And I don't know how you'd manage that one. They were very narrow streets designed for carts and whatnot. So they were never designed for modern vehicles. All right. Moving right along. Moving right along. All right, give me just 1 second, kids. In fact, I've got a clip here about NATO and Afghanistan.
Jolene, thank you. First of all, as you know, the United States hasn't made the decision yet on the troop strength for the United States. That fact was discussed among the Chads. So we didn't get into specifics or the United States probable troop strength. We did talk about the needs of the commander. I would answer specifically your question about Siegessor. We haven't completely filled the requirements that have been approved within NATO to this point. And as a commander as well, would certainly be helpful to fill that CJSOR. What it would provide us is the train and advise and assist capability, particularly the advisors, and the strength that's needed to do a better job. And I can tell you from my experience there, I think that would be a significant benefit to fill those out across the battlefield and with the units that exist today in the Afghan Army.
All right, now, I know that I pulled that clip kind of out of thin air for you guys. Well, guess what? We are changing topics. Screech, crash, gear shift. Yes, yours truly decided to jump topics in 2 seconds of a heartbeat. Because, well, sorry, I'm a little scattered today. So, what's going on? Well, there was just a defense ministers meeting with NATO. And the defense ministers are working on preparations for a bigger meeting with all the heads of NATO. And what that means to you and me is that the military experts are talking about a number of things that NATO is up to, and they're trying to work everything out to figure out what they need to tell the people they report to about how many troops NATO's going to need and how many the U.S. is going to need and how many this group's going to send and all those kinds of happy things, folks. So let's continue. Since we abruptly switched to NATO there, let's take a listen for just a couple of other things about this NATO conference that just wrapped up yesterday.
And now the discussion is if NATO is to become a member of that coalition. The decision is pending for the heads of state and government meeting, and we discussed it, and the Chiefs of Defense recommendation is that there is a merit for NATO becoming a member of that coalition.
Now, what coalition are they talking about? They're talking about a coalition, I believe, in Afghanistan against terrorism, kids. And that's why the comment about Afghanistan came up. How many troops is the U.S. going to send, and how many are going to wear the blue flag? Now, here's one other little interesting NATO clip on terrorism.
On NATO and counterterrorism, I think there is a tendency to believe that we start from a blank sheet of paper. I think it's worth of reminding that NATO is contributing to a fight against terrorism for now many years. The very operation in Afghanistan has been launched after a terrorist attack on the United States. NATO is also contributing to the fight against terrorism through training of local forces, through defense capacity building in these countries to help them to better face terrorism at home. NATO members, NATO allies, are all members of the global coalition against ISIL, against terrorism.
All right, so NATO is clearly standing against terrorism. And just to remind you, kids, the Article 5 section of NATO, which is an attack on one is an attack on all, has been activated only one time. And would any of you out there care to guess when it was activated? Anybody? Anybody taking any guesses? Well, that would happen to have been 9/11. Yes, we activated NATO after 9/11 when we were so despicably attacked. Now, I know we've got Trump's upcoming international trip, and I'm not going to get into that, at least on this show. You can check back next hour. Maybe Jen and Jess can do it. In fact, I almost guarantee you the trip will come up. All right. Now, Secretary of Defense Mattis met yesterday with his counterpart from Norway. Let's take a listen to what he had to say to her.
Your leadership in NATO is extremely important.
Sorry about that. Grabbed the long crypt. This was her talking to him. Let's start with him to her.
It's always a privilege for us here at the Pentagon to host NATO's doorkeeper to the north. I would just tell you that we also see eye to eye on the values basis of our NATO. And I do want to mention that our alliance stands for the defense of democracy, the defense of human rights, and also freedom just in general, the freedom to think and do as we please.
Now, here was NATO's response to Mattis at the press conference. This is a very brief audio clip. And I apologize if the audio was a little hard to hear, because she is a very soft-spoken woman who has a large army behind her.
Your leadership in NATO is extremely important to the alliance. And I have earlier on also commended you for your leadership, and I would gladly do so again, because I think that is vital to the alliance and vital to Europe.
So she thinks that the U.S. is doing a good job leading NATO. At least that's what was said publicly. But Norway is not one of those places I worry about getting crazy things from. So, all right, folks, we have reached the bottom of the hour. Yes, I'm not quite at 30 minutes, but we are going to run on and take that commercial break, and I will see you on the other side. Just as a reminder here, you can follow me on Twitter at Jessies POV. You can also shoot me an email at the station, Jessies POV at KLRNRadio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
All right, I thank y'all for hanging in there with me over that commercial break. Now, I am going to have to cut the show just a few minutes shorter than usual. No, we're not running right now. I just got back from commercial. But we are going to have to run. So let's finish up with Quackers and then get Iran in here, because what would a city need from... What would one of my shows be without Quackers and Iran? Come on, folks. Now, as I discussed yesterday on the show that never finished, there is a Tinder-like app that is allowing the Iranian public to swipe to figure out who their best presidential candidate is. However, Hassan Rouhani seems to be the front-runner in that election, and many women feel losing things they have gained if Rouhani is elected. Yes. So, also, Iran is also saying that new U.S. sanctions targeting its missile development is a sign of ill will. Well, guess what, Iran? This host says that you even working on those missiles is a sign of ill will. Iran condemns America's unacceptable ill will in its efforts to undermine the positive outcome of Tehran's commitment to implement the nuclear deal by adding individuals to its list of unilateral and illegal sanctions. And that is a quote from Iranian Foreign Minister spokesman Bahram Qassami. Iran does have a presidential election, of course, in which, of course, incumbent Hassan Rouhani is seeking a second term. Now, it has been since 1980 something that an incumbent has not won re-election. So I have a feeling Rouhani probably will be given a second term. However, Iranian women fear gains will be lost if Rouhani is re-elected. Iranian women have made significant strides under moderate President Rouhani, but fear that progress could stall if a hardline wins Friday's presidential election. Now, Rouhani is viewed as more of a moderate. However, He could turn hardline at any time. Rouhani's administration has also prepared a bill to further protect women against domestic violence at home as well as in the workplace and the streets. However, women still face tough restrictions from how they are allowed to dress in public, to the subjects they can study at university, to the jobs they are allowed to do, and they were made hugely underrepresented in local government and parliament. Rouhani's main opposition candidate, Ibrahim Raisi, is the former protege of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei. He's widely supported by the religious conservatives, read hardliners, their kids, and strict enforcement of Sharia law, which puts women in an inferior position to men. Some women worry the moderate gains they have made in recent years will be lost or rolled back if Raisi defeats Rouhani. However, there is one foe that even Rouhani may not be able to overcome. Voter apathy. Yes, I believe we face that even in this country. Voter apathy. Because basically many of them see things as nothing's gonna change, so why should I bother? Because unlike North Korea, where not voting is against the law, there is no such thing in Iran. Oh yes, there is no such thing. However, Rouhani does look to beat the hardliner, so I do hope that Rouhani, for the women, that since he is the more moderate of the two, that Rouhani does win. However, part of me would like to see no Islamic State of Iran. President Rouhani does face the hardline opponent, and it's shaping up at the most contentious and consequential election since the founding of the Republic in 1979. So, Rouhani wants to open to the West, the hardliner does not. The hardliner wants to keep up with death to America, death to Israel. Now, Rouhani has been known for years as a mild-mannered cleric, a pragmatist rather than a gung-ho reformer. Rouhani's rival is cleric Ibrahim Raisi, who's gathered the hardline camp behind him and appears to have the backing of the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah al-Khamenei. Now, the backing of the Supreme Leader, you have to understand, is a huge deal in Iran. Rouhani is the regime insider. He's loyal to the establishment. He's not a reformist, but a bridge between hardliners and reformers. Born into a religious family in 1948, rising to the middle ranks within the Shiite clergy, Rouhani was active in the revolution that overthrew the U.S.-backed Shah in 1979. He has held multiple sensitive jobs in the Islamic Republic, including representing Khamenei for 25 years at the Supreme National Security Council. Now, 4 years ago, he was swept into office with 3 times as many votes as his nearest challengers. And Iranians held high hopes that he could fulfill his promises to reduce the country's isolation abroad and bring more freedoms at home. Now, he has succeeded, sort of. They have more oil revenue, but much of the rest of their economic gains are stagnating. But many reformist voters say are disillusioned and apathy. Rouhani's allies see as the biggest threat to his re-election. His fiery rhetoric in the final days of the campaign seems intended to whip up support from reformists and remind them of the highest stakes, but it also risks provoking sort of backlash from hardliners he previously averted. Khamenei issued a veiled rebuke on Wednesday, calling some of the rhetoric in a televised debate unworthy. Although the Supreme Leader did not single out any specific candidate, it was easy to read as it was aimed at read between the lines, kids, because it was aimed at Rouhani. All right, so we've got Tinder apps running around Iran to help them choose their next president. We've got Saudi Arabia accusing Iran of deception and supporting terrorism. Yes, the Saudi mission to the United Nations accused Iran of deception, supporting terrorism, and threatening stability in the region by arming the militias in the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Because, remember here, folks, and I got to come up with I got to get 2 more good sound effects on my board because I just don't happen to have that many. But, yes, Iran is supplying that to the Houthi rebels in the forms of missiles, arms, money, people. They also support and supply the Hezbollah terrorist organization and sectarian militias in Iraq. So, Iran is what is going on in the Middle East. All right. Now, we have had a Navy SEAL death in Somalia again, which is the first one in a long time since the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993. The events differ in notable respects, but not least in their magnitude. The Battle of October 3rd through the 4th, 1993 resulted in 18 Americans killed and 79 wounded. Both operations reflect the adverse conditions that U.S. Special Forces Operations Forces in the United States face in one of the world's most dysfunctional states. Oh, yes. So, we have had that. How do we get back there? Well, we had decided to send a small number of troops to Somalia, but President Obama desired to avoid the entanglement, limited the deployment to just 3 advisors. Such a pittance could help with the occasional raid, but could do nothing to build a viable government security force. Establishing the writ of central Somalian government across the entire country is the best solution. But today it remains far easier said than done. While the Trump administration's recent deployment of U.S. troops to Somalia suggests it is far more committed than its predecessor, the most important actors, of course, are the Somalis. It's not clear the current generation of Somalis will ever be up to the task. In the meantime, the United States will have to rely on risky raids if it wishes to eliminate extremist leaders in the area dominated by Al-Shabaab. Yes, for those kids playing at home, Al-Shabaab is a terrorist group. Come on, you didn't catch that one already? So, U.S.-Turkish relations. If you've been watching your news feed at all, you have seen some video of American protesters who were protesting in front, what appeared to be a peaceful protest in front of the Turkish embassy, being allegedly roughed up by Turkish security. Now, these were American protesters on U.S. soil, because Turkish soil, while it is the embassy, the street and the sidewalk out front are still U.S. soil. At least as far as my understanding of it. So, U.S. President Trump has also called for the release of a U.S. pastor jailed in southern Turkey since October, after lawyers say the government deemed him a security risk and the issue has been elevated to the highest diplomatic levels. White House and the legal team for American Protestant missionary Andrew Brunson reports that, well, we've got Mr. Frog. Reports that U.S. President Trump raised concerns about his detention during meetings with his Turkish counterpart this week. Trump raised the incarceration of Pastor Andrew Brunson and asked the Turkish government expeditiously return him to the United States, the White House said in a statement after meeting with Erdogan in the White House on Tuesday. However, we do not know. Now, for those of you who aren't sure about all this, well, if you don't remember, we have an Air Base at Turkey. Yes, it is called Incirlik. No, this is not classified information, folks. You can Google it, so do not start with me on that note, please. You are welcome to start with me on any other number of things, but no, I am not giving out classified information online. All right. So, Incirlik Air Base. It has supported America's most vital strategic needs for more than half a century, first during the Cold War and more recently in the fight against terrorism. Now, as the host country becomes less stable and less friendly to Americans, because remember, folks, right after the coup, they had shut off the power and the water to the base. Now, of course, our men and women stationed there are very resourceful, and they probably powered up their generators and turned on some water from water buffaloes or other locally available sources. And I believe, as do many other people, we may be losing Incirlik. Yes, Incirlik Air Base may become a thing of the past. Where else could we station U.S. planes that would be able to hit terrorists? Well, the easy and relevant option would be Iraq. You could also do Jordan. You could also do UAE. I know that Israel would be a very controversial place to have an air base. However, I bet Israel would happily host us. But that would be a political hot potato. Now, Washington does, like I said, the best option is to keep Incirlik. However, if politics gets in the way. Then we will lose it. Because, guess what? All right. Yes, they are sneaking up to pull that particular rug out from under our feet. All right. We're going to talk about the Western Wall for just a minute, and then I got to make my way out of here at least a couple of minutes early so I can catch up with Jen, because I'll be back next hour with the Jen and Rick show, which will actually be the Jen and Jess show tonight. Oh, yes. Because last I heard, Rick is still without power. So, let's talk about President Trump's visit to the Western Wall. And then I'm going to make my way out of here. All right, what is the Western Wall? Well, for those of you who are completely live under rocks, the Western Wall is the last remaining wall from the temple in Jerusalem, the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Now, the first audio clip I'm about to play for you is from the previous UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon.
Positions of UNESCO are positions of the governing body of UNESCO. They're not. It is clear for me that the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. It was a Jewish temple, as it is clear for me that Jerusalem is today a holy city for three religions. These are the facts that nobody can deny.
So let's talk about.
All right. So that was from Ban Ki-moon. Now, our wonderful UN Ambassador Nikki Haley was talking on CBN earlier this week, and here's what she had to say about the Western Wall.
The media is going to try to make a rift between the president, not necessarily the President Netanyahu, but U.S. and Israel as it relates to this whole Western Wall thing that's come up now. What do you say to folks that, there was that report about Western Wall not being part of Israel? I mean, that's got to be a bit controversial.
I don't know what the policy of the administration is, but I believe the Western Wall is part of Israel. And I think that that's how, we've always seen it, and that's how we should pursue it. I'm not real sure what happened with that issue, but I know that they're trying to fix that and get that taken care of. But, we've always thought that the Western Wall was part of Israel.
All right, folks, so yes, I happen to agree with both those statements that the Western Wall, which was part of the Jewish temple that was destroyed by the Romans and rebuilt, or no, it wasn't rebuilt after it was destroyed by the Romans, but the temple in Jerusalem was a Jewish temple, and the Western Wall is the last piece to remain standing. The temple was Jewish. Now, I will also agree with Ban Ki-moon's statement that Jerusalem is a holy site to 3 religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Muslim or Islam, depending on how you want to frame it. It is a central crossroads. And on that note, folks, yes, you are welcome to yell at me on Twitter at Jessies POV. You can shoot me an email at the station at jessiespov@klrnradio.com. And I will see you on the other side.